Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Dolly Chain Gang. My name's Matt Payne. I'm going to be taking you through all of the action out on the roads back in London for the Greater London Flat. Just nicking the last of my Grand Tour coffee. You see one of our sponsors just down bottom corner, down there. All these guys looking after the guys from Down in Cycling. And we are going to be heading out very shortly, about 6.5 minutes to the start of the ride. It's not a race, but it often becomes it as we move in towards the end. The aim is going to be to keep everybody together. Some great guests on, and we're going to run you through the circuit. We're going to run you through who's on, and that's all coming up in the show prior to the start of the ride. Then we're going to feature a lot of our riders who are out and about around circuit. Lots of our regulars are back. Mr. Killingsworth's back once again. We've had him on the show earlier. If you're wondering where all the guests are, we've got to juggle time to get all our guests on and to do all the setup versus the time to actually do the show and the segment. And at the moment, things are just a little bit busy. And I've even been riding my bike. So at the moment, we just have to prioritise. Make sure we give you the show, get you the action first of all. First, of course, we're going to get back in touch with the boss. Let's get in touch with Russ and let's see if we can have a chat with Russ. Usually, he's on the end of the line. Whether or not he is, we shall soon find out. His famous last words. It's ringing. Honest, Gov. No answer came the reply. In fact, not a lot came the reply from Russ. Let's see if we can get him on another format. The wonders of technology. Don't you just love doing live shows? They just make life very interesting. Let's give him another shout. Let's try a different format. Let's WhatsApp Russ and see if we can get him. It's ringing. Bonus, always a good start. Let's see if Russ is online. Here he is.
Hey, yo.
Now then, Russ, how are you? That was a little bit of a false start trying to get hold of you earlier on. How's things?
All right, mate. Yeah.
And you see you're all lined up, ready to go, and some good guests today.
Yeah. So then I've heard Sherry Pridham's coming on. She's just joined now. So Shez Pro's up. She's heard from the boys that it's a good workout, so she's going to see what's happening.
Excellent.
And word on the street, Gordon McCauley's coming in from New Zealand.
Blimey.
Not seen him yet. I've seen him sign in, you know. But
that's going to be a lot of time difference over there. Yeah.
Yeah, they sign in and then they realise that they might have to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning or something, so they don't bother turning up now. It's all good fun. So yeah, not quite sure on the time zone there, but it'd be good to see Gordon on here.
Definitely.
Back in the late 90s, early 2000s, and yeah, he was a monster.
He was top man.
Anything go.
Yeah, he was absolutely beasting the pro scene, wasn't he? And really was a strong rider. So if we do get him, he's got to be one to watch out for. But we've got Mr. Cogan back again. Have you got the inside track on what happened on Tuesday?
I think he just had a bit of a moment. I think really went too hard too soon. A bit of a schoolboy error.
Oh, that's not like Dan.
I didn't understand your command. He put a funny Instagram story on about forks and candles and things.
Excellent.
Like I think he stepped over the border and he lost the translation, I think.
Easily done. Well, we're going to see if he's going to be up there. He has always been up in the battle, but whether he's going to be right on the sharp end. I see Daryl Clark is back, and you can't ever discount Daryl, can you, from taking that green sprint jersey. You and he seem to battle it out. And in fact, your picture today, if you've got it on the screen, can you name the race and the country it's in, you sprinting in over the line, taking a stage win?
Let me, my internet's on a bit of a go slow.
We'll see if Russ can identify this. We'll really put him under pressure with only just under 3 minutes to go. As you can see on your screens, over there is Russ. He's the one with the elbows out on a proper chain gang pose. He intends on being like that, no doubt, as we go over the line. There's a yellow jersey to his right. And this is... Russ was slightly younger in these days. I don't want to give him too many clues and tell him what year it was.
I know what year that was.
What year was it? So,
I don't know what year it was, actually. It was obviously that was my first victory for Team Sky, first British victory. and it was stage 3 in the morning of Team International, the sprinter stage. it was like 90 something K, and yeah, hit out with a few minutes to go. I was drag racing Albacini there, who was just out of shot. And then I think Federico had the yellow jersey just come on the line, but yeah, I held him off. So yeah, that was a good day.
Definitely a good day. Well, let's see if your sprinting prowess is up to it. We're going to let you go. We're going to run the viewers through the course map pretty fast. So thanks very much, Russ. Maybe we'll catch up with you before it all goes a bit mental towards the end.
Yeah, cheers. Hopefully not.
Cheers, mate. Speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate.
So Russ Downing there, and great to see Russ. Let's jump straight across to the map. We've got just over a minute before we go. And if we go across to the map, up it comes. The red section, this is the run-in as it runs over the top, round the U-turn and then through the sprint on the mile, up Constitution Hill and straight back down the other side, before the run round the river, which is basically flat, up over the bumps 2, 3, 4%, before the drop down on the Hyde Park underpass and then the run downhill and into the sprint. Really critical to stay in the wheels, because what happens there aren't massive hills, but there's not a lot of time to get back on again before the gradient changes. So if you're trying to put in a constant effort, actually it's really difficult, except for the section round by the side of the river. So the running is going to be pretty steady, but it's then going to get really interesting as we move in from there, because it will get faster and faster as we move into the finish. Now our riders are getting ready, about 30 seconds to go before we jump across to them. Let's show you that profile. Key on this profile is the hilly section. You can see the flatter section around the river. This is the main circuit, so you can see that it runs round from the side, it runs around the bottom and comes back up again. That's pretty straightforward. When you come up, you're on the bumps, and you can see there's a massive dip down as our riders go around this in a clockwise direction, and when they do that, they dip down. Now that is a dip into the underpass. They've been on the rivet, nailing it as they go over the top of the crest. It then drops down. Once you go down that's where the gaps open up. People charge to get back on again. Then it's 4% climb, 5%. Doesn't sound much if you've been riding up Ventoux on the Worlds in France on Watopia, but it is. And as it goes up towards the high point of the course, a very quick drop down. You can see basically that as it comes up and onto the crest, it drops down and then it turns along, and that is where the run into the sprint is. It's absolutely critical to get that right. If you get that wrong, you are going to be dropped off. Now our riders up and riding, just heading out from the start. We're going to see how they get on as they go out and round circuit. It's not going to be long before they're hitting the circuit proper, and we're going to be heading over there very, very shortly. So remember this profile, remember the map. We're on the section, the red section at the moment, just running in towards the course proper, the black section of the course, looping round. We'll show you that course map and the interactive map as well. Don't forget, of course, if you're online, make sure you click on all of our sponsors from OTE, who are going to be keeping me fueled up on the way through. Thank you very much, guys. Going to keep me hydrated on the way through as well, of course, as the Grand Tours coffee. So, great stuff. Our riders are going to try and get together. Let's take a look across to the unit. Now, as you can see on your screen, the riders at the moment are all pretty much bunched up. One or two riders just being distanced, and you can see them coming through. Key things on your screen as you look up. Right at the very top of the screen is a big white banner over the top. That white banner contains the speed that the rider that we're watching is going, the distance they've covered, the elevation that they've climbed, and the time that they've been travelling. Just below it tells you who we're watching. That is, of course, Russ Downing of Downing Cycling. Then, of course, off to the side we have the left-hand side as you look at it, up over that side of the screen. Heart rate, Russ currently about 178 beats per minute. It also tells you, watts, 178 beats per minute. Russ not yet going into triple figures. It also tells you the revs, the pedal cadence as well. Across on the other side of the screen, up over that top corner, you can see the map, and we flick the map around. You're going to be able to see that we can actually change the map for 3 different views: the zoomed out, the 3D, and the zoomed in version. At the very bottom of the screen are our fantastic sponsors. They're all across the bottom there. Make sure you look out for them. Across at the side, so that is over on that side of the screen, you will see Russ highlighted in blue, and then you'll see all the other riders above or below him as the riders come through. So you see riders are much further up in front and going to be out on the side. So these riders are already heading out and round. Can't be talking to more riders now. I don't know. We're right in the middle of explaining it. Then over on the side, right over that side, you will see the Sprint's jersey when the riders have been through, which is in green, and that is going to be the critical one today. So enough explanations, let's get across to the ride, and let's pull up on full screen and let's see just what's happening out on the ride. So at the moment, as you look up on to the top, you can see that we have two groups on your screen at the moment. So we can see our two groups at the moment riding along. Russ in the second group, you can just see them now pulling up on to the back of the group in front. So our riders now starting to work their way along the side. We'll go down to our cameras. One or two riders just a little bit off the back here. Looks like John Hind just being distanced on his way through. And Hind at 1 minute and 4. And just taking a look, I think Shez just been a few tech problems for Shez Pro. So shout from Russ to ease to them all as Russ goes through just behind Amy Morn there. And if we take a look up, we're going to change our camera angle. We just see Russ riding along on his Pinarello there, and Russ, long-time Pinarello ambassador, making his way along. If we take a view from Russ's viewpoint, and you can see Russ at the moment just sitting behind a long train of riders. This is directly from the camera if it was mounted in Russ's Oakleys. If we go across to the view behind, you can just see Russ's avatar in the grey with the yellow chevron. This means he's our ride leader up over the top. If we jump across once again, we can take a little bit of a further view out on the way around. And then we can also, of course, play about a little bit more. Great ways of looking. We can look behind us and see there is basically nobody behind him at the moment shown on the circuit. We can follow our camera tracking, and this is following us at the back of the group as it flicks across. And as we go on the mile, you'll be able to see the riders are all up in front. One or two problems with issues. Looks like riders just getting one or two dropouts on the way through at the moment. We can zoom up onto the map. We can see where the riders are. They're about to come into the right-hand turn. So let's jump across to the tracking shot. Here we go, up with the helicopter. And in fact, tell you what we'll do. Let's go up with our eye in the sky up onto our drone camera, because this will let us see the riders as they make their way up the hill. So Russ at the moment on the back of the group, just keeping an eye now. Riders to watch out for. We have the Terminator herself, Maddie Smith from Bolsover District. Maddie, the she's been national mountain bike champion, national cyclocross champion. She's absolutely fierce, and great to see Maddie coming out to play from Bolsover. I think Darryl Clark is back once again, who we mentioned before. I think Simon Warren is here, and we were out and riding, the pleasure of riding up Von Top with Simon, and I used pretty much every trick in the book to make sure that I got myself up there in a similar time. I actually managed to go past and leave him. The only time I think I've ever been capable of dropping him on the climb, but some very, very game tactics being played by me of drafting my entire way pretty much from bottom to top of the Von 2. It meant that I got a really good ride on that, and had a good ride, and actually was very close to Stephen Corbin, who again is another class out now. Let's take enough about me riding on Zwift. Let's have a look, see who else is in here. Looks like James Allen is here, Tony Cliff is in here, Amy Morn's in here. Let's jump across to a few of our riders now. Mr. Little is just dropping back a little bit here. And Little is one of those riders who we know can be right in at the kill at the finish. Little currently putting out 360 watts, 5 watts per kilo, and he's just been dropped off. He just needs to focus maybe a little bit more. He's off the back. Russ is even further off the back at the moment, but we know Russ is certainly able to get back on again. Looks like Mr. Shade has been distanced, and Shez at the moment just off the back a little. Shez currently riding on the Tron bike, so Shez clearly able to spend enough time at the moment with the race season not in action. Shez, the manager of the Vitus team, the manager, long-time manager of the domestic teams and the concert teams. A great rider in her own right, and a very fast rider. Always good fun to have around. Drinks almost as much coffee as me, and definitely has far more Oakleys than me. That's your trivia for the day. Now, in front of Shez, it looks to me like the rest of the riders pretty much in this group. We're going to take a little bit of a look up at the eye in the sky. Just take a look. There's one or two riders off the back, and I think Russ is going to be one of them as they're making their way out onto the moment. We're just watching Mr. Tony Clip here of Chefrek on his way through. Well, let's take a look and see what the time gaps are at the moment. Trevor Crean on the front, and the distance back, most of the group together as they make their way on to the mile here. It looks like Shez just starting to go back in touch. Russ dropping back for Mr. Shea, but Shez is absolutely hammering away up into the front of this group, really trying to work away back in touch. So let's have a little look. It is Russ who's at the back of the group, currently at 26 seconds down on the front of this group, so it does need to start to come back together again. But everybody rolling through now. Darryl Clark coming through. What is Darryl going to set as our sprint time? Well, he's not set the fastest. It is with Struan McInnes with a 12.85, and this is where everybody now needs to turn the gas off. So at the moment the time's being set. Maddie Smith, we said she was quick. Maddie's setting the fastest sprint time so far, 13.95 for the women. In the men, it is Struan McInnes with a 12.85. Those times just up on the left-hand side of your screen. Now, as this bunch comes through, we're going to see if we're going to be able to bring the riders back. Just had some of the Grand Tour's coffee. And just maybe need to adjust the machine a little bit. That is seriously strong stuff. Now, good to see Mr. Borelli up at the front. Stefano setting a new PB, a new FTP the other day, and that's despite working down at Nonna's, running Nonna's, great restaurant. I know I plugged them to death last time we were out, but it was a fantastic meal and a great way to spend my anniversary. So thank you very much, Stefano, and I'm really looking forward to going back there. Always good to support the people who support your sport. You know, without the guys like Stefano coming on the chain gang and looking after people, it isn't going to be the same. Now we're just going to take a little bit of a jump across to see Mr. Warren. Let's see if we can focus in on him on his way through. We may have to drop across to the eye in the sky. Sat there in the black, I suspect. We're just going to take a little bit of a jump around and let's see if we can focus in. Easier said than done at the moment. So there we go, Mr. Warren of 100 climbs in the black, being absolutely mobbed at the minute. You can see behind him though, if we take a little bit of a look back, Russ still trying to bring those riders on behind. That gap really has opened up behind in front. They're not hammering it. It's a nice big thick pack on the way through, not too many strung out sections, so they need to keep that pace down, get the guys on. Russ, we're pretty confident can get back on again, but it's starting to drift a little group off the back once again, so I'm hoping the guys up at the front, there's some very experienced riders, know what they're doing. Mark Thwaites in there, he'll pull the pace back. I think Alan Dawson from Bolsover is in that group. Eddie Dench, another of our regular riders in this group, just with 80 at the moment. Currently rolling this on with 172, 166 watts, only rolling a couple of watts per kilo. And you can just see the bigger, thicker pack at the moment as they go around the turn in front of Buckingham Palace, around the wedding cake and taking that left-hand turn onto Birdcage. It looks to me like that pack is waiting up, and at the back you can just see those gaps are starting to come back down again as these riders start to come back together. If you watch the top right of your screen, if we just take a little bit of a look across, it looks like Russ are just about back on. One or two riders scattered across the mall and Constitution Hill, but most of the riders now on the way down onto Birdcage. So let's take a little bit of a look at some of our other riders. Well, not necessarily the riders we spent all the time on the go. We try and jump about as much as we can. So we've seen Darryl Clark. Let's see if we can pick up another of our regular riders here. This is Kujak from Brixton Cycles, and let's see if she's in a traditional jersey. She is. The one with the B on the back there, and another of our riders who seems to be more than competent and capable of staying in with this bunch all the way through the finish, in with that leading group. Looks like Millie Skinner is in here as well. Dan Cogan's definitely back, just seen him rolling past on the screens. So a lot of our regulars back here once again, and one or two people just started to be distanced off the back. Looks like Thornton, one of those riders, not quite up on the pace of the bunch at the minute. So I think two more riders to bring onto the back of the group here. So we've got Gary Thornton and Ted. Who's off the back? What's Ted doing off the back? Andrew Emsley is off the back, and he needs to get that power up, mate. He's currently 2.5 watts per kilo, just taking a little bit of a look back. Looks like Atkinson just being distanced a little. Chris Gale a little bit further back, just jumping into the group. Gale's in the pack here, so the screen's just jumping about a little bit, nothing too spot on as we go around that corner. So Bradley Atkinson definitely off the back of the group, as is Shares Pro. She's off the back as well. Rich Shade off the back, and Ted, Andrew Emsley just distanced a little bit by the look of it. Now we're going to jump right up to Amy Morn. Amy, another of our regular riders. Amy, one of the younger riders, only 15, riding for the RFDA squad, and a very, very competent rider, a very quick rider as well. Definitely very good at holding on to the wheels. And Amy just sitting towards the back of this bunch at the moment, taking the most draft. There she comes, alongside Ross Downing there in the training of Pete's kit. So Amy just tucked in nicely on the back of this group, alongside Darryl Clark here, and Amy kicking out 132, 133 watts there, just as she was pushing on in through the bunch. Now you can see just starting to move in, but this is how Zwift replicates riding so well. If you push on the pedals, you start to move up a little bit. Now these groups very tight at the moment. It's like James Allen just sitting on the back of this pack with Darryl Clark not picking up. So Emsley at the moment, Atkinson, Shade and Chef's Pro just distanced off the back. I think Chef's with technical issues on the start. In front it is Darryl Clark, I think Brownlee, Morn, Scott's in here, Russ Dolby, Luke Taylor, Garwood is in here as well, Keith Richards, Luke Taylor is in here, Charlie Babbitt's in here. Charlie, another of our regular riders, kicking out 180 watts here. Nice revs though, 98 revs at the moment. And Charlie, as we've said, another of our regular riders. And try and jump on the same names if we can, time and time again. And Charlie there in the blue and yellow. Worth keeping an eye out for, so Charlie is going to be stuck in there to the end. Mr. Locke is in here now. Locke was right up there. So we made our way up around the circuit last time. Just seen there with that Union Jack on his back, just on the side of the bunch at the moment. He's just moving up a little bit here, 2.7 watts per kilo, and he's just pushing down the outside of that group at the moment. You can just see his position in that pack if we zoom out and take a little bit of a spin. It's pretty much central, and there's many people behind Mr. Locke as there are in front, just about. It's got to just hold a position at the moment. Mr. Fraser's here, Flanders is here once again, another of the riders who is a regular rider on the chain gang, riding some Mellenstein, so some lightweight aero wheels, and the lightest wheels, in fact best climbing wheels in Zwift in virtual world, not in real life of course, because they've got to be halo wheels. Doing the business for Russ and for Dean and the Downey cycling gang. See who else we've got in this group. Looks like everybody rolling along quite nicely at the moment. If we just drop a little bit further down and let's have a little look. Looks like Dan Foster is in here. So let's take a look at Dan. What's Dan pushing out here? 183 watts per kilo. And this is Dan riding on the Tron bike here, on the Zwift concept bike. In the with the pink wheels then, And the pink highlights, remember, you can go in and you change the colour of the Zwift concept bike, the Tron bike. What you can't do is change the equipment. So you can't change the wheels, you can't change the characteristics of the riding. Overall, if you're going to have one bike, that's the bike to have. It does everything really well. It's not best at anything in particular though. So for a course like this, you might want to change. So going for disc wheels, and been chatting to some of our riders about their wheels off screen, sort of, well, always happy to have a chat with people. The best wheels to stick in for a circuit like this are actually a disc rear and a deep front, because that is the fastest rolling set. It's only rolling this, you can see, as we come away from the river. If you look up on the map top right hand corner of your screen, we zoom out, we're just moving away from the river, and the gaps have just started to open up a little bit here. Mr. Foster needs to be moving up a little bit. We're on 1%. Darryl Clark's just seeing that gap starting to go behind Clark. Amy Moore just being distance. The pace pushing on here, just putting the pressure on one or two riders at the back of the pack. I know Russ has moved up to the front here, but Hargreaves looks like Foster, Clark and Moore. And look at Clark go. He's seen the danger. He's closing down on Foster. He'll close that gap down once again. Remember, on Zwift, 6 metres is the distance when you are a solo rider chasing onto a pack. Bigger the pack, the more the advantage of sitting in with that group. And you can see at the moment as we come in and around through, we're just coming around this long turn all the way in the square here, doing 3 sides of the square before we're going to head out and up the streets. And this pack are strung out a little at the back here. Looks like Mr. Little being stretched out, a little Stevenson here from out of the saddle. And I think we're going to have a bit of a regrouping now. Shez at the moment, 4 minutes 18 down. Mr. Shea, 2:36. Emsley and Atkinson there at 1:25 and 1:34 for Atkinson and Emsley respectively. Only 10 seconds between these two riders. Now if they get together, they're going to be able to work well together. Not sure whether Shez and Mr. Shade are going to close that gap together. Other than those 4 riders, looks like everybody else is together. But Foster now just being pushed back a little bit. More needs to push on here. She's going to get distance here. Let's have a look. What's Amy kicking out now? She's up to 3.2 watts per kilo. And Foster, I think, has blown a gasket because he's gone down to 1.6 watts per kilo. But it looks like Amy Moore's been distanced. She's been caught out now. Russ may well just try and hold the gang back a little bit here, because Amy's one of our regular riders. She's up at 3.7. She's trying to come back in. Down Foster, not able to hold the wheel. He's dropped down to 2 watts per kilo. This is left Morn in no man's land. She's pushing 4 watts per kilo. I'm not sure how long this 15-year-old is going to be able to chase a moving pack here. So let's see if any of the riders are going to come back. Clark's at the back. He's been known to go back for riding before. Now Russ is not too far away. Is he going to drop back to try and give Morn a tow here? It's 8 seconds now. That gap is going out, and I think it's curtains for Morn here, taken off the back there by Dan Foster, and unable to push on back into that group. She's going to be relying on a bit of an easing in front. You can see that gap is continuing to open. Foster is 16 seconds, 17 seconds on Morn. He's going to need to drop back down in with Atkinson. He's the nearest chasing rider, but as we watch Amy now, looks like Mr. Little has just eased off to give a tow back on here, I think. So here we go. Dan Foster now just dropping down to 1.9 watts per kilo. Mr. Little at 1.3. Just got Morn coming up now. Is he going to tow her back on again? Mr. Little is more than capable of some serious pace. Is he going to pick it up? Yeah, just seen those revs go up. Here he goes. Now, Amy needs to work with Mr. Little. Little is a class act here. You can see quickly up to 8.4. Now he's got to get the pacing right. If he just hammers past, he's not going to give enough of a tow. But Amy now picking it up. Look at that, 6.2 watts per kilo. Our baby Morn's legs there. Now, can this duo get back on again? They're under the underpass already. It's 27 seconds. It's going to be a big ass. They need more than Mr. Little back there, I think. But I think nobody else dare come back. So it's a brave and a very generous move there by Little, coming back for the rider there, Amy Morn. So James the Little of HCC coming back, riding a parlay frame at the moment. and at the moment he's working hard. And if we take a look back, Little at the moment working hard, more quickly kicking in. You can see that feather above her head. That means that she's reduced her gravitational effect of the mass of her is reduced about 20%. With single rider in front, and they're closing that gap down. They're down at 13 seconds on the riders at the back, which is Brownlee and Johnson. But Little and Morn are working hard here. Little kicking out 4 kilos, Morn kicking out 4.5 watts per kilos. Meanwhile, Russ keeping everybody under control. Hopefully, we've not even made it around 1 lap yet today. We've only covered 15.5 kilometres of the 42k, and the speeds are pretty brutal now. Morn just getting a little bit of a gap between her and Mr. Little. You can just see Amy's front wheel keeping on diving on into view here, and she knows she needs to sit on that wheel. Now Amy's on some very lightweight wheels here. We know she's a light rider, so it might benefit Amy if she changes next time round to a deeper wheel, because you've got to sometimes just get an advantage on something which it's not your strongest point, so you maybe equip the bike to be better on the hills. If you're a bigger, heavier rider like me, if you are a rider who struggles when the pace goes fast, or it goes up, or it's just on the limit, then maybe going for something with a slightly deeper wheel will help a lighter rider. So at the moment, Little trying to get back on again. It's 17 seconds. I think to the main, to the rider speeding distance on the bunch here. They're sweeping up Johnson and Brownlee here. And if we take a look, you can just see Little coming through with more now. Can these 4 work together? Then it's going to be a big ask, because Little's got the power to get back across. You can see that beacon in the distance, that flickering yellow flame from our ride leader Russ. At the moment they're just heading into the right hand turn into Trafalgar Square, the downside of the National Art Gallery, which has just reopened, but the gap 37 seconds to our leading rider. So 4 riders together here. That is James Little, it's Brownlee, it's Morn, it's Johnson. In front then, 2 riders, Stevens along with Jones here. Stevens in the blue, Jones in the red and black. Then Stevenson, Anderson, Borelli, Bird in the next group. They're going to try and close on the back of the pack. It's going to be a big old ask at the moment. Mike Killingsworth is in here. Looks like Maddie Smith is in the chasing group. Meanwhile, up at the front, things are getting very, very spicy indeed. Who's going to be leading it out? Let's try and jump up there as fast as we can. I think we're going to see Clark in the mix here. So it's Clark who's gone through the banner. First of all, we're going to have to jump up here very quickly. So Clark goes through, but he's not got the green jersey, because look at that. The fat cyclist has come through, and he's blatted that time with Kieran Smith coming through a little bit later. That's great riding by Kieran Smith. Kieran Smith coming through from further back in the pack there. Comes through with a 9.55. Then it's the fat cyclist, 9.76. Mr. Locke, 9.85. Time with Darryl Clark at 9.85. Then Oxenham, 9.91. Andy Bishop. Bish is coming good here, 10.23. So we have 5 riders all inside 10 seconds. Kieran Smith, the fat cyclist, Locke, Clark and Oxenham inside 10 seconds. Outside the 10-second mark, 1 or 2 people knocking a little closer than others, with Bishop, Stevenson, Kogan, McInnes, Miller, Blackford, all hovering just within about half a second. But it is pretty busy in there, that is for sure. We're going to have a little look and see who is going to be taking the women's leaders jersey in there. And it might well be, we're going to see, it is going to be Millie Skinner, I suspect, who has taken that jersey. And we're going to have a little scroll through. That was a very, very quick sprint indeed, with a 9.55. The winning time, the leading time in the men's. And that's from Kieran Smith. Let's see if Millie has it. She does. Millie has the women's green jersey. And Millie Skinner leading the women's green jersey, going through with that group. Millie riding very, very regularly, one of the Downey cycling coached riders, who is definitely making the most of the chain gang. As we take a look, it is one long line. Russ up near the back, spinning around from Millie. All these riders are strung out at the moment, and the pressure's on the front at the moment. It's stringing it out. A little plead from Russ. We're going to try and jump right up to the front. I think have a look and see what watts people are kicking out on the front. It looks like the front's rolling round at about 2.5 watts per kilo. But remember, that is in a bunch. It's not in a solo rider. And at 2.5 in a bunch, it means that the chasing group is going to have to do 3.5 to 4 watts per kilo to come back on again. And as they go past Buckingham Palace here, you can see that it is well and truly fractured here. So let's get you some time checks as we watch this leading group go through. So at the moment, the leading group coming in through big group looks about 40 to 50 riders in that main bunch. And no major gaps in there, and until we go back, the first of our really big gaps is at about 12 seconds. So we're going to jump back to the 12-second group. This is the group. It's got John Hind, who we're watching at the moment. It's just about to go past Locke here, and Farrand. He's got Chris from the Alliance MTB. He's got Donahue, Thornton in there. They're all sitting at about 11 seconds off the main bunch, but you can see that big pack coming in behind. If we take a look back here from Farrand, lots of Bolsover riders. It's great to see my home club here. Farrand in here. Looks like John Hyde from Bolsover rider in here. We've got Alan Parsons in the ride, Maddie Smith in here. Kieran Smith, of course, taking the green jersey, a regular on the Bolsover riders. It looks to me like this group was well and truly fractured at the front. They are backing off, which is good to see. Whether they've backed off enough to let these groups come in, and currently looking about 10 seconds of the gap, but you can see behind Russ there's a few riders. Let's jump across to where Russ is now. So let's have a little look. You can see behind Russ at the moment, when we take a little bit of a look, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 riders behind Russ by the look of it. It's in about 3 seconds behind Russ. In front of Russ, it's 19 seconds up to the back of the bunch. If you take a spin around, you can see the bunch is going to start coming back very shortly. And so we track around here, the back of the bunch just inside down the side of Parliament here. It still looks to me like that line's a little strung out then. Russ is going to be coming from the corner back together. Looks like Maddie Smith, Borelli is in here, Bird, Killingsworth, Mike Killingsworth, the man who throws himself all around the back, the motorcycle and sidecar around the Isle of Man, having to throw himself around this group to stay in with them at the moment. He's got to stay in that group. He needs that aerodynamic drag to get himself back up again. So it's really good to see Stefano's FTP increase through the week, and even better to see that his Zwift is all in Italian. I might have to do that. Would be the best way to improve my Italian going, I think, would be to watch Zwift. Now, Mr. Allen just dropping back to pick up some riders here by the look of it. So James Allen just dropping back. One of our regular workers, I've got to say, James doesn't make a big song and dance about it, but James Allen regularly coming back to help these riders out, and you can see he's dropped back in this group. He's more than capable of going off down the road, but jumps in with the group, and we'll try and pace the group back. So now it's about 10 seconds from this group being led by Russ at the moment to come back on. James Allen rolling his way up there. Borelli's up there. Smith is in there. Looks like Bird is in there. Alan Parsons is in there. Simon Oxenham is in here. Oxenham, another of our riders who regularly comes back. Locke's come back to get riders as well. And they're moving back. They're more than capable of being up at the front, but being definitely doing the business as you'd expect on the chain gang, going back and trying to grab the group. So Russ on his way back through. People trying to grab the wheels. He's rolling about 3 watts per kilo in the Russ Downing group. If it's coming by you, try and jump on those wheels. Not everybody has made it by the look of it. 1 or 2 people not able to hold that pace. They're just starting to be distanced a little bit behind. Let's have a little look. It is going to be Mike Killingsworth and Owen Davis, Chris Anderson, who are going to be forming a group behind. Looks like these are riders There's a fair old stretch of groups here, so Amy Morn being joined by Jason Stevens. So let's go from Amy, who we were seeing riding, trying to close the gap down. So Amy's here, looks like Tiger's here. So Tiger Brownlee from the Tri-Centre is with Mr. Stevens as well, and these three are working hard at the moment. They're 139 down on the Russ Downing group, about 2 minutes down on the leaders. They're just closing in on Mr. Emsley, who, if he picks his pace up about now, is going to be able to get in with this group as well. 11 seconds in front is going to be Jones. So Jones is going to be the next person who could see this group coming. They're about 11 seconds down at the moment. So Emsley, Stevens, Morn and Brownlee 11, 12 seconds down. Carl Johnson a little bit further back. They've got to pull that gap back. Then it's Anderson at the moment who we're watching here. He's got one rider for company, and that's going to be the man from cystic fibrosis. It's Owen Davis. So Davis and Anderson forming a duo. Now 1 minute 8 behind, they've got Jones. 1 minute 19, they've got Brownlee in the group behind. In front of them, it's the back of the main pack, and the main pack is still holding the vast majority of our riders. So take a little bit of a scroll across. So Alan bringing a lot of the riders back up and into this group. But there's some very fast names in this group indeed. So Little is back in here. He made it up. He didn't manage to tow Amy Morn back up, Morn, and able to match the pace required to get back into the bunch. Little's gone in there, and looks like Kuzak just going pop hits. I think power drop out for Kuzak. She's just dropped down to 0 watts per kilo. And that means she's going to be dropped by this bunch. 9, 10, 11. The gap's opened so quickly. Russ now jumping to the back. Donahue is still in this group. Great ride here by Donahue from Barnsley, holding in here. Tunnicliffe Scott is in here. Hargreaves, Fulton's in here as well. Dave Fulton, John Hines in here. It looks like lots of our regular names rolling around in the group, keeping out of the way. Looks like Coos looks a little bit further up the road here, but you can see this bunch. It is looking very, very interesting. And a lot of the regular riders sitting in here. We're on that drag up. You can see on the map on the top right hand side, the guys are working their way up the straight, up in towards the U-turn. When you get to that U-turn, that's when things get difficult. Just taking a little bit of a look back. It's Russ who's hanging on the back of the group. The group behind Russ, 46 seconds now to a duo, and then starting to form, to coalesce into some bigger groups back there, which is what we want to see. Up at the other end, up at the pointy end, I think we're going to see Mr. Warren right up on the front here, and Chris from the Alliance MTB. Now Chris is one half of the intrepid duo of Maverick and Goose, Victoria Chavaria and Chris from the Alliance MTB squad, usually riding together. Chris at the moment sitting in this pack comfortably and clearly pulling himself inside out. A man with a very good story. Get on his Instagram. I think he's regularly live on there with all sorts of stories. I've definitely enjoyed watching his millions of posts. A prolific Instagrammer. And that doesn't mean it's all spam either. There's some very interesting stuff in there. Some great stories as well. Now, heading up the hillside here, we've gone round that U-bend that breaks up the rhythm at the moment. These riders still in pretty much one bunch. Kieran Smith just rolling around at the back of the bunch, managed to the sprint the last time through. Bowring is in here. Looks like Barnard's in here. McInnes is in here. You've got to watch out for Stu McInnes. He's very, very quick. He was absolutely flying as we came up the hillside, up the volcano on Tuesday. Scott, though, was doing the business. He absolutely flew past. I don't know what Dan Cogan was doing. We could sledge him for a long time after that performance. Let's drop across to Dan at the moment. He's going to be somewhere up near the front of this group. So the group rolling on through. Let's see if we can get up with Dan. Dan is going to be in the Sigma Sport jersey. There he is. Take a little bit of a look. The trademark beard he's on. He's got deep wheels in as well. He's on an aero bike. So he's clearly wanting to take it on. He judged it a little bit wrong. Schoolboy error is the words that's been used by more than one person for Kogan's mistake that saw him blow to pieces on the way up and through. But our riders at the moment look like they've got him under control here. Will he go on the offensive? Will he go on the attack? No, we're going to see if it stays together. Now you can just see the back of this group, one or two people struggling with the pace a little bit further back. But just taking a little bit of a look down to see who is in this group. Looks like Sir Roddy's in here. Craig McLean is in here. Looks like Tom Barron, Carl Kapinski's in here. Glenn Thorne is in here. Russ Dolby, Mel Blackford is in here as well. So a little bit further look down. Simon Warren is in here. Chris Knight, Vincent is in here. Dean Evans is in here. Kieran Smith, Matt Pritchard, Dan Shaw, Simon Oxon and Mark Thwaites. It really is a who's who. Tom Scott's in here. You can see Tom climbing so well last time round. Now who's being distanced? I think Dan Stevenson is one of our riders just as we go into this underpass, who is just struggling a little bit to stay with the pace, and this is where it gets tough. This is what we're talking about right at the start of the show. You can see behind this drop down, it's distanced little. We're now on towards that climb, and in front of Stevenson from out the saddle, you can see the gradient really kicks up here. He's got to try and get some pace on this. You can see around the walls at the side how steep it is when it kicks up. If you've ever ridden under here at any kind of pace, I've ridden through here pretty fast. It is really tough stuff. But look at this, Stevenson rolling his way up onto the back, whereas in front of him you can see a plethora of power-ups from the group in front. And we take a little bit of a look up and along the road, you can see there's been plenty of feathers up there now. The riders have just gone up and over as Maddie Smith just starting to maybe take a little bit of damage here as Smith just dropping off the back now. Can Maddie Smith get back on here? She needs to pull this gap back down again. Smith just hanging onto the back of that wheel at the moment, onto Thornton's wheel. She's just about hanging on in here, but this is where it's going to get really interesting, because we're going to go over, we're going to take this right hand turn as Little powers his way back through this group. I'm not sure whether he was daydreaming or something off the back there, but he's not off the back anymore. But as the front of the group is coming in towards that corner, and he's going to be bowering right up there at the front, who is going to take us round the corner. It is indeed. If we take a little bit of a look back as I go down this hillside, you can see behind Tom, if we zoom right out here, it is one long line, and that is because the pace is up 54 kilometers per hour. You can see how much of a downhill this is. The gap, it only needs to be a couple of meters at the top. It will open to 10 or 15 meters over the crest. And look who's in this group. Tom Bowring, it's Glenn Thorne, it's Dan Cogan up here, Simon Oxenham in this group. A real who's who, but they're being pulled back. Russ Dolby is doing the business here. Jono's in, and they've rolled straight over the top of them. No problems at all. Seeing one or two power-ups going in here. We're seeing a feather going in at the moment from Tunnicliffe from Shefrack. He's gone and put a power-up in. Not sure that's timing is spot on there. Maybe needed to have saved that a little bit later, just coming out underneath the Admiralty Arch may have been a better moment to use it, but we'll see. One long line at the moment. Who is your money on in this sprint? Now, one rider who's been riding really well is Stu McInnes. We're going to sit on Stu because we know he can sprint. We'll see how he's going to get on here. If we take a look up here from Stu, he's in the blue there, just working his way round, and he's going to be up on to the front. So as we look back, you can see just starting to get mobbed a little bit on the way in here. Is he going to have the speed to go with the very front here? Allen's working hard here, Bowring is working hard, but Darrell Clark just using a draft at the moment to move himself up into position. So we keep an eye out on the very front here. It looks to me like Oxenham is going to go from the very front. He's got Darrell Clark sitting on his wheel at the moment. Is he going to be able to pull that gap back? Now is he going to get it down? Andy Bishop is working hard here. Martin Rigby's up there as well. But who is going to take away the top time? Can anybody top the early time of Kieran Smith? And the answer is no, they can't. They don't have the pace because they didn't ride in that bunch. And you have to ride at the bunch pace all the way to the green line and hammer right the way through from back to front. Now, is anybody going to keep the pressure right on at the front? Dan Cogan just looking to close down Clark Bishop and Oxenham. Andy Bishop definitely a dangerous man to let go clear, but as you can see, Cogan now up on to the front, and he's just pushing home a little bit of pressure here. He's just turned those pedals enough to make people work hard. Tunnicliffe responding. He's taken the bait. He's going hard here, and it looks like James Allen is going as well. 5 watts per kilo from 6 watts per kilo. Cogan's gone backwards here, and it means that 1 or 2 people have taken the bait. They've gone hard, and Cogan's just going to use everybody else's efforts here, I think, just to split that group up. Taking a look back, just about everybody who started off that run in is together at the moment. We're going to take a little bit of a look back through, and we'll track Cogan through. He's right in the middle of this bunch. So if we go through the group, all of that front peloton together, containing all the big names in there by the look of it, and we're just keeping an eye out to see who is in there. So Millie Skinner and Kieran Smith, both green jerseys, in this leading group at the moment. Looks like Bowers and Stevenson, it really is a who's who. Russ rolling round near the back of that group at the moment. But if we go back, I think Tom Scott is going to be the first of our riders who is going to be off the back. Tom, one of the younger riders, another of our 15-year-olds coming out to ride the chain gang. Good to see Tom in action here as he rolls his way along, currently kicking out 279, nearly 300 watts here, 182 beats per minute. I think I'd go pop with my heart doing that much, but behind him you can see plenty of riders coming now. The back of the bunch has got Dan Shaw sitting on it from Sitwell. It's Alan Parsons, sorry, from Bolsover at sitting, what is 7 seconds off the front of the bunch. He's just starting to close it down to 6-7 seconds. Then it's Scott, behind Scott, Taylor, Richards, Osmond. A group of 3, and then a big bunch behind with Chris from the Alliance MTB at the moment. So if we go in with Taylor at the moment, you can see the group chasing. It's got Dan Sturgeon in there. It looks like Llewellyn is in here, Rodney's in here as well, Fraser's in here. These 3 of Osmond, Taylor going to get caught. I think they've got Richards as well. That's going to make a group of about 13 riders, and there are some riders to mop up in front of them. It looks like Tom Scott and Alan Parsons are both going to get closed down here, and they need to start kicking now. So Alan, time to kick in, give it some beans. Go as fast as you drove that tractor mower down that bank with me the time you did a full 360 on the way down the bank whilst we were prepping that cross course. That's the sort of riding we need today. Same sort of skills and power, I think, pretty much to stay with this group. So Alan Bars is jumping on the back here of this group, and it is starting to be a really nice group, this, chasing behind. So this is the next group that's formed after being spat from the back of the main bunch. Mr. Little has gone pop by the look of it. Dan Shaw has been dropped. Looks like Stanley Land's dropped here, and it's Oxenham who's right on the back of this group. So this is the main bunch. Millie Skinner still in this group comfortably at the moment, rolling around at 3.6. Millie was out time trialing yesterday on the Cookney time trial. Some of the only competitive racing that you can do in real life at the moment, the time trials that are being run, and great to see so many great times going in. Good to see Joey Walker back out again, putting in another road bike time, a super fast road bike time once again. It looks to me like this group is really starting to put the pressure on now. 5 watts per kilo. Now we've got 32k done. We're into the last 10k or so, 6 miles, and you can see it is starting to spit riders out of the back. Looks like Locke is pretty much rolling at the back here. Pritchard's gone from the back of the group. Nice riding here. Let's have a little look. Darryl Clark rolling it along at the front here. Don't often see him stick his nose out into the wind too much on the front. He's a very, very canny rider now. 80 dentures in here clearly. All that time riding with Millie has got 80 quick. Uncle Ted's in here. Good to see Uncle Ted is riding so strongly. Ted with what is for him, very, very dapper kit. Pink bike, pink cap, blue kit. What colour socks? I'm not sure about the black socks. Let's have a little or no socks, or no style marks, mate. Needs to get it done. Ted, come on. Get that kit together. So you might notice actually a lot of the riders without socks. If you've not been on since an update, one of the recent updates reset everybody's socks down to 0 height. So if you zoom in on the riders, and as we zoom in on these riders, you see a number of riders whose socks seem to have disappeared and have been set at 0 height by one of the updates. They haven't gone back in, updated it and lifted them back up. Remember, even in Zwift, having your socks pulled up makes a difference. It should make you a little bit quicker. There's no UCI rules. You can have them all the way up to the knee if Zwift would let you. You don't need to worry about it being halfway between your knee and your ankle. Same with the time trials on the Wednesday night as well. So our riders in this bunch all seem reasonably comfy. There's a big, thick, straight line at the back. It's a bit like riding Devil Take the hindmost on the track. With nobody wanting to be on the back, everybody just pushing on because they don't want to be sat on the back of this group for very long. They don't want to get caught by any of these gaps going, and the pressure is coming on the front as people don't want to be sat on the back. They don't want to be the rider who gets caught on the end of a gap. If it goes, you've got to be on the wheels, you've got to be sat there, because getting back in is going to be really, really, really tough. Now Jono on the front, pushing it on. Darryl Clark rolling up onto the front as well. Clark coming through very, very quickly here. Stuart McInnes has gone after him as well. So let's see, we're on the long run alongside the river. We're soon going to turn off the river here, and when we do that, that's when things are going to get really interesting as our riders run along the side here. 0% is the gradient. Jono goes back on again. Clark is wanting to keep this high. I think he wants to get this group broken up sooner rather than later. Russ is wanting to keep it together to the underpass. I don't think it will do, because I don't think if everybody wants to be at the front, the group is going to stay together on the climbs that come. Now we're going to stay with this group pretty much to the finish today. We're not going to jump back to those later groups until a little bit later on, because the gaps have opened up quite early behind them. It means we can concentrate on all of the action now. Tunnicliffe rolling onto the front, 3.8, rolls back off fairly quickly, I think, here as he drops back down 3.7. Clark back on. Stuart McInnes back onto the front. Miller from Fusion CC comes up. Warren's rolling him around him as well. Let's go across, let's welcome Mr. Kogan once again. What's Mr. Kogan up to? What is he holding? Is he going to go for a sneaky long one here? It wouldn't be the first time he's put an attack in when we've been on the slight gradients. We come off the river now. It's 1% climb as we're coming in towards the square. We do a slight right turn here. It's only a gradual turn, but it can quite often be enough to just put those at the back in trouble. So the gradient goes up to 2%. Russ guarding the back of that group at the moment. And up at the front, it is still pretty smooth. Simon Warren putting the pressure on now. Clark rolling over the top of Warren. 100 climbs, that man should be more than happy. There's the pace on through this climb. It goes to 0% as our riders come in through here. You can see as we track them round the square at the moment. They're coming in one big group. Russ still holding the back, and I think there's one or two gaps just starting to open. One or two riders maybe not able to squeeze those pedals, not keep the chain quite tight enough to roll back in again, but they're moving back up again now as Jono goes back on the front. 4.5 watts per kilo. Clark pushing back in. Miller is very attentive here. He's not letting that gap go too far at the minute. Carl Kaplinski on a great ride here. Now he's right in the mix, but Kieran Smith, the green jersey, is in this group as well, and Kieran Smith could well be the man to watch. Kogan though pushing on through from the back of the group there, who's currently sitting at the back of the group. 8.5 watts per kilo, and up to the front he goes now. Here he goes, 9.3 watts per kilo. His gradient has gone up. He's gone for an early one. He wants to break this gap apart a little bit. He's not hanging on here. The question is, can they stay with him? We're coming in towards the turns at the top. The gap 2 seconds at the moment. It means if Kogan stays there, he's going to do all his own work. Behind him, Clark is trying to push across to him, but Clark is working harder. He's matching the wattage from Kogan, but he's not going to get any help. He's not really starting to open the gap too much on the group behind. He's got 2 seconds as they come around the bend at the top. As you can see, the bright lights up in London here as they come in alongside. It's basically alongside Harrods as you head across into towards the Serpentine. We're going to see just what the guys are going to be capable of. Now heading off for a quick dip in the water at the moment. So it's Kogan leading at the moment. 2 seconds behind him, it's Darryl Clark. 6 seconds down is Jono leading the bunch with Downing right up there as well. Clark pushes on again, goes up to 8 watts per kilo. Kogan responds. Kogan needs some help. He can't stay out all this time. Clark could do with being up with him, but that bunch behind, they are coming. You can just see what that gap is behind. I don't think these two are going to hold them off. They're too far to go. We're in towards the start of the underpass. It's going to start kicking in. Here we go. Minus 2% as they drop down here. And at the moment, if we look back from Kogan, you can see Clark is coming. He's the only man in that gap. The camera foreshortening the gap a little bit between Clark and the bunch. So it looks like Clark closing in down. It's now down at a few meters. Is Clark going to go round him? I think he's got the run on him here. He has. So Clark has gone round him. Let's take a look back from Clark here. So Clark here at the moment's got Kogan responding. He's going to jump on to his wheel. We're looking back to see what that bunch is doing. It's coming quick. It's 4 seconds now. They're onto the 4%. Kogan takes a little rise out of the saddle. That's when his watts either go up really high or the revs go down. But the bunch is pulling it back. Russ Dolby pulling it to 3 seconds, 2 seconds. The fat cyclist isn't far off the back of these guys at the back of the bunch, so it has blown this to smithereens. We're going to take a little bit of a different view here. We're going to spin it right round, and that is because if you take a look down there, there are stragglers off the back as Russ Downing goes on to the front now with 5.2 watts per kilo. He came up and round. He's leading them through at the moment. Behind the group has fractured. We've got a few people off the back. I'm going to try and drop back and tell you who they are while simultaneously keeping an eye on the very front of this. So just being dropped off the group looks like Carl Kaplinski, Darren Milner, Brett Doughty's gone, A.D. Dench has gone, Ted Tunnicliffe has gone, Craig O'McLean has gone, Millie Skinner's well and truly gone, as is James West there in about 17 seconds. So it looks like the women's leader now just being distanced as our leader is on the descent down the hillside here. Our camera's just struggling to stay in front of Struan McInnes as they drop down. Struan taking that left hand turn at the moment. As Struan comes round, this is the big chasing bunch behind. We're going to jump across, I think, in to see what Kieran Smith can do here, because it could well be Smith stay. Clark is going hard here as Smith is in the group. Who is going to be able to lead this out? Is anybody going to go really, really early? So Kieran Smith at the moment in the green and blue camo jersey. Russ putting in a bit of a dig here out of the saddle. He's moving up. Looks to me like Russ is wanting to bring it all together again. Locke has gone on the front. He's really starting to hammer now. His Locke. He's starting to stretch this out. Is he going to have enough to hold off the bunch? The gap's open. Now is the time. You don't want to be caught on the back. The green jersey is with Kieran Smith. He's the runner on the left-hand side. Bowring is sitting back. The gaps are starting to open. Jono's let a gap go here, and that might be too dangerous for Smith to leave as it is. Russ is working hard on the front here. Darryl Clark holding in those wheels. He's holding. Smith's on his way in. Has he done too much earlier on to stay with our leaders? Who's going to go? The kick is coming up. We're about to hit 200 metres. Here's the green line. Here comes Smith, though. He's on his way. He's out of the saddle, and it looks to me like Kieran Smith is going to be the man who's going to do the business here. Behind him, they're coming, though. Can he hold them off? They're coming hard, and he don't hold him. And he comes through the line. They can't keep Smith from taking a victory on his way through. Behind him, then Clark, Allen, and Locke all were chasing hard. They're trying to get that gap down. And you can see these riders really have worked hard behind. It looks like Kaplinski has come through with Miller, Stevenson, Doughty coming through, Dage coming through with Tunnicliffe, then Pritchard, and it's a little bit of a drop back behind to the group. So there's been some very, very quick rides on the way in. We're going to try and get in our next group coming through. I think Millie Skinner is going to lead them through. She is. So Skinner comes through. Then West going through. Gibbons, Ted, Pearson, James, Gale, Pritchard on the way in. Then Dean Evans, Sutcliffe. And it's Mark Thwaites who is now on his way in. So let's jump up above Thwaites here. He's in the orange. So let's see who's coming through. Looks like Craig Genther is in this group. So Genther's there. It looks like as they roll in towards the line as they go underneath the gantry, it is Callaway, then Genther, then Thwaites behind them, then Rigby going through in front of Thornley, Goddard and Barnard. It's going to be Scott in this next group as Knight starts to go. Scott really trying to respond to this. Let's see who can take this on and lead it in. I think it is going to be Scott who's going to lead them through the gantry. Scott goes in hard. He takes that there from Knight, then a little, then Roddy, then Fraser, followed by Taylor and Kooslugs and Osman. Great riding. Alan Parsons coming in with this group. Bass going through. Rowan Parker, Charlie Babbitt, Sturgeon, Hind, Lindley, Chris from the Alliance MTB squad coming in, and some fantastic times in there. So next group on to the mile. Let's take a look at these boys come in here. Who's in this? It's Dave Fulton. It's going to be Shaw in here. Dan Shaw's in this group. Hawkins is in here. Llewellyn is in here. Who is going to be able to run around? Who's going to take it all the way into like 200 metres to go now as the sprint starts to go here? Fulton currently pushing hard, just moving up, but Danshaw from Sitwell has gone hard here, and Sitwell, man in the red and black, trying to take it, but just picked on the line there, and it was Stanyland who got it from Shaw, then Llewellyn, Fulton, Hawkins on the way in and through. Next group in is going to be Donahue, who's going to lead this group in to the straight. Birdie's working hard here. They've not got far to go. They're going to soon hit that green line. There it is. Who's going to take this? Donahue's going hard with 11 watts per kilo here. He's kicking down hard. Is he going to have enough to hold off everybody else behind him? Farron putting some serious revs. He's got the aero power up. Is it going to be enough to catch Donahue? Donahue takes it. Then Farron behind. Then Garwood, followed by Bird and Blackford. It's all go at the moment. Let's jump across our next duo on the road. This is going to be Stefano Borelli's got Vizek Kuzak coming through. So Vizek on the way on the wheel there. But behind, look at these three riders behind him. Hargreaves, Phillips, Gail Phillips here, and Thornton are coming. So it is going to be a very big question. Big question. Very, very close. Who is going to take this? Borelli's revving it up here. Look at the pedal revs there. Well over 100 then on that little kick. It didn't distance Kuzak. She's a quick sprinter. He could be taking Borelli here on his way in. Can Stefano do this? Time to harness some of the heat from those chilies. But it is Kuzak who takes it from Borelli with Hargreaves, Phillips, and then Thornton coming through behind. Next of our riders in towards the straight, it's going to be Trevor Crean, Maddie Smith, and Finney. Let's jump across to national champ, a full cross champ, of course, in Maddie Smith here. So Smith is going to take this from Finney and Crehan. So these riders absolutely hammering through. Llewellyn's gone through as well. We're just going to try and jump back far enough behind to get to our riders we want to see. Going to take a little bit of doing to drop back across to the riders at the back of the group. Let's see if we can get across to our regulars. Well, looks like it's going to be making our life a little bit hard to catch up with all of the regular riders on the group. And so with that, let's jump across on our seats as we reflect on what was a fantastic finish to the ride there. Lots and lots of groups making their way into the finish there, doing the business, really hammering in and home. Great to see some really serious sprinting there as well. Absolutely amazing to see just how fast Kieran Smith was doing the business, the youngster, and he is only young, doing a fantastic ride, and been some very, very exciting riding all the way in and through. Don't forget, of course, you can join us on the show every Tuesday and Thursday. We can bring you all of the action from the Dolly Chain Gang. It's definitely serious stuff. Make sure you fuel up before you do. Make sure you get your OTE on board. Without this stuff, it's difficult to commentate and keep up. Never mind, keep up with our riders. Remember, the links will be on the Facebook page. Make sure you click on Facebook, make sure you join that page, and make sure you give us a follow and a subscribe on YouTube as well. My name is Matt Payne. I'm off for a quick lay down after that sprint finish. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you on Tuesday.